We all thought Crescencio Somerville would be our fourth signing of the summer transfer window, and he still may be. However, it could also be Guido Rodríguez, the midfielder that won the World Cup with Argentina. Now, he only played 57 minutes in the World Cup, but let's forget that small fact for just 1 second because it sounds really good, doesn't it? West Ham United signed Argentinian World Cup midfielder on a free transfer. Sounds fantastic. But that's the latest according to WHUFC Sports. Now this has been followed up very, very quickly by Fabrizio Romano, but let's take a look at what WHUFC is claiming. He says Guido Rodríguez has a verbal agreement to be a new West Ham player. He's expected to sign his contract between tomorrow and the day after, so Saturday or Sunday. Fabrizio Romano went on to say West Ham are in advanced talks to sign Guido Rodríguez as free agent. Negotiations ongoing with players' camp after he left Real Betis, as WHUFC Sports reported. Guido has several options, but West Ham are working on it. Barcelona deal collapsed since Xavi left, and Fabrizio Romano followed it up with that Guido Rodríguez given priority to West Ham despite several calls and approaches in recent weeks. West Ham are confident to get the deal done as verbal agreement is now close. So he's claiming it's not quite verbally agreed. However, there's a little bit of caution from the in the nose at the minute given the Fulkrug deal in particular. Seen a few people maybe getting their fingers burnt with claims around that one. So could West Ham be a way to sign an Argentinian midfielder on a free transfer? That's what we're discussing. If you're new around here, please do subscribe and drop a like on the video as well. Both things are free and helps the channel out. It'd be nice, it's very ambitious, but it'd be nice to get to 40,000 before we take on Aston Villa in the first game of the Premier League season. Now Guido Rodríguez, who is he? He's a 30-year-old defensive midfielder, free agent as stated. He left Real Betis in the summer. Now Real Betis, managed by Manuel Pellegrini. I was just reading an article, it was a blog by a Real Betis fan saying about how Pellegrini really helped develop his game as a defensive midfielder as well. Of course, Pablo Fornals would have maybe probably put in a good word for West Ham. He's played with Edson Alvarez in the past. Now he's possibly competition for Edson Alvarez, but they played together in the past. So there's a few very, very loose links between Guido Rodríguez and West Ham United. But Real Betis wanted to keep him. It's not that the club haven't offered him a new contract. They tried to keep him, convince him to stay. However, he didn't want to. And it's been known for some time that he was leaving this summer. Now, towards the end of the season, it was expected he would go to Barcelona, and a deal was even agreed between himself and Barcelona. However, two things. First of all, Xavi left, and the second one was because of the fair play and the 1-1 rule in La Liga. Barcelona couldn't sign Rodríguez at that point, and by the time they could sign him, Xavi had left, and it sort of collapsed. Atletico Madrid are the other club heavily linked to him, but according to WHUFC and Fabrizio Romano, we have got him. Now, in terms of the player himself, never heard of him. I don't watch Spanish football. I watch international football. I've obviously seen him play 57 minutes, but I don't recall seeing him play 57 minutes 2 years ago in the World Cup. I can't tell you anything about him in terms of the eye test. I had a look at his statistics though. Last season, ever present in the Real Betis side, who had a really good season. He missed a large chunk in the middle third of the season, took the second half of the season with an ankle injury, but once he come back he was fine by the last couple of games. But lots of minutes under his belt. The season prior, pretty much played the whole season as well. So he's been, quite consistently in the starting 11 at Real Betis. Close to joining Barcelona, linked to Atletico Madrid. In the Argentina squad, although he doesn't get loads of minutes, he's in the Argentina squad. And let's be honest, there's a lot of competition there. It's no shame to be the 25th man of the Argentinian national team. So in terms of his footballing CV, it looks good. 30 years old, free agent. Statistically though, his numbers are fantastic. His tackles, his interceptions, that is really good. He's a defensive midfielder. Now, I can't tell you much about him. I'm hoping some people watching this video will be like, hang on a minute, Joe, I've watched him, I can tell you a bit. Please do, in the comments below, please let us know your thoughts on the player. Now, whilst I can't discuss the player per se, I contacted Sloth from Babbling Irons. He's away at the moment, so he could not come on the video, but let me tell you very quickly what he said. I am just buying time now while I load up my phone. But what's Sloth, Steve from Babbling Irons, who we work with now on Hammers Chat Patreon, he said, I watched him a fair amount at Betis this season. he was excellent. On a free, it'd be a really good bit of business. And he goes on to say that he's a great tackler and passer, reads the game well, and he's not scared to shoot. He thinks he'd be brilliant on a free as an option for either playing next to Alvarez or to cover for Edson Alvarez. Now, while I can't talk about the player, I think in regards to the profile and bringing somebody in to do just that, to cover for Edson Alvarez, would be excellent, to put pressure on it at Edson Alvarez as well, and at times play alongside him. There will be games where we're going to have to be defensively more solid than other games. For example, I don't want to see us approach Man City away and Leicester City at home in the same manner with the same personnel. I like us to pick the team depending on the opponents. And I think having a little bit more flexibility in midfield would give us that. I have been concerned in regards to the options. I think we've got plenty of them, but I just don't feel we've got the right combination yet. I felt we needed one more. Now, obviously, the last few weeks we've been linked to, well, I say the last few weeks, the last couple of days, we've been linked to some defensive midfielders, like we've been linked to Monaco's Fofana, and we've been linked to, in particular, Endo of Liverpool in the last 24 hours as well. Clearly, we're targeting someone in there, N'Golo Kante as well. And the fact that he's 30 years old, I think this is good. I know what some people are going to say straight away. What does this mean for Potts? What does this mean for Orford? This is why I think it's a good deal. It will be a short-term deal. We're not going to hand him a 5-year... Well, I don't think we're going to hand him a 5-year... I'd imagine it'd be a 2-year deal. I think the deal he had lined up with Barcelona was a 2-year with an option for a third on the club's side of things. So similar length of time at West Ham would make sense, because in 2 years' time, Freddie Potts will only be 22, Orford will only be 20. I think they need to get a little bit more under their belt this season. I'd like the Potts to stay at the club, and I'd like Orford to go out on loan once signing his new contract. But having players like Edson Alvarez, and whilst I don't know Rodriguez, I'm happy to take Sloth's word for it, because I trust Sloth's opinion on players. We have similar opinions on a lot of players. So when he says it's good, I'm alright with that. I'm happy. I'm hoping some of you guys will get involved, convince me a little bit more. But on a 2-year contract, that just buys us time to get Orford out on loan for a couple of seasons, have a look at Potts at West Ham for the first few months, come January maybe loan him out or retain him at West Ham this season. Plus, when Edson Alvarez is away, we do need something. When I say away, I mean suspended or comes back from international duty. Now, we're going to have the same issue with Rodriguez if he goes away with Argentina. But I think there's maybe, without knowing the Argentina squad inside out, there's maybe a possibility he isn't called up for Argentina as much this season. His minutes have been pretty sparse anyway, so we'll wait and see on that one. Just our luck to replace a South American with a South American, so they're both away. But I think Edson Alvarez is almost guaranteed to miss games this season. He might not even make the Aston Villa game. We don't know how long he's out for. You'd imagine he'll miss the first couple of games this season anyway. So I think we do need a defensive midfielder. I don't want to see the James Ward-Prowse Thomas Souček combination. I know we have a different man in the dugout, but the profile of the players have not changed. Ward-Prowse hasn't just turned into a defensive midfielder overnight. I don't want to see that double pivot. So bringing somebody in that can put a bit of pressure on Alvarez, play next to Alvarez, cover from Alvarez, it makes sense. And on a free transfer as well, this makes me a little bit hopeful, because obviously we've been linked to Endo, 15 million. We went for N'Golo Kante, 20 million. So we've decided to allocate that much money into centre midfield. Now obviously there's going to be a sign-on fee, so while he's free, he's not going to be free. He's still going to cost the club 5 million or something, agents' fees, etc. And he's, by the sounds of it, a lot of clubs want him. He's got offers on the table, so he's going to be cheap, but not free. However, you'd imagine we would still end up with 10 million or so left over from the budget for midfield, which we can allocate elsewhere, which may solve that issue we've got with Füllkrug and Duran, with that valuation that Villa have placed on him. This player, I'm hoping, if we do get him in, obviously I'm hoping he's good, but I'm hoping that frees the budget up and it allows us to solve that issue we're having in terms of which striker we can go and get Duran and pay the 40 million. Put what you want to one side, just for 1 minute. Put what you want to one side. I sometimes think predictions, what the club want to do or something, and what I want. 3 separate things. Put your opinion to one side here. Think about what the club want to do, and I think it's fair to suggest their number 1 target is John Duran. And if that's the case, hopefully this allows them to go get him. It doesn't matter who your number one target is, this is the club's number one target. And I'm hoping that this free transfer would allow that. I'll be honest with you, they've got me hook, line and sinker here. I'm believing this. By the way, when people say who's the original source, never heard of them, that's okay. Let me just remind you, I put the tweet up earlier. It's Varsky Sports. However, they've got over 2 million followers, and followed by Fabrizio Romano, followed by Vickery, who's obviously the South American expert. So if he's going to follow him, there's got to be a decent amount of credibility behind him. And as soon as he did it, Fabrizio Romano was on it straight away. I can only assume Romano's gone and verified that information. I believe this. I believe this transfer rumour. And hopefully we'll have our 4th and 5th signing over the weekend in Somerville and Rodríguez. And this is where it gets excited for West Ham. Wan-Bissaka and Duran. And suddenly we can look at the window as a whole and start evaluating it with plenty of time left in August for little tweaks here and there. And I did a little prediction on Patreon earlier as to another player I think we will sign. And I stand by that because he's a centre-back. And I stand by it. I still think we sign him. But bringing in a free agent just opens up avenues for other deals elsewhere in the squad and moving that budget. And also I think Somerville's a decent price too, actually. This is quite exciting. I like this. I like transfer rumours, but also, do you know what I like? I like surprises. This is a surprise. I've not seen him linked to West Ham. I thought we got linked to him a month ago. I went and looked. It wasn't even him. It was a different Real Betis player. Apologies. He was due to go to Barcelona at that point. So I'm going to have a look at him on Wine Scout. Just know a little bit more, because I believe it. And I think we might have a new midfielder at West Ham United. That's exciting. I like signing players, and I like signing players I don't know because I get to discover them. When you sign a player that you do know and perhaps you're not as keen on them, like James Ward-Prowse or Max Kilman, for example. It's not that I'm not keen on them, it's just, well, I know what I'm going to get with that player. So when they come in, it's nice to see, but I thought we were going to get that. But with him, I have no idea what to expect apart from what Sloss told me. So I'm looking forward to discovering him should he join. Anyway, there you go. According to, one credible source and somebody who looks credible from the outside looking in, Rodríguez is going to be signing for West Ham in the next couple of days, and we'll have our 4th summer signing, maybe our 5th summer signing of the window, and it's a free agent who won the World Cup with Argentina. Right, I'm off ski. If you've enjoyed the video, please do drop a like on it. If you know about Rodríguez, please get in the comments below. I'll be back later on to see what you're all saying and interact with you. And subscribe to Hammers Chat, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow.